Hi everybody, it's 1:30 and we're going to be starting our Workplace Skills Series webinar on independence, initiative, attendance, and professionalism. So on Illinois WorkNet, you can find this tool, and it is at illinoisworknet.com, and if Chelsea can put that link into the chat pod, I would appreciate that. So today we're going to talk about the first two quadrants or portions of the soft skills aspect of our workplace skills wheel. Guiding you through the steps today will be myself, Dee Reinhardt. I am going to be your guide today, and helping me make this presentation the best that it can be our Natasha Telger, Chelsea Jones, and Lacey Pollock. They will grab any questions from the chat pod so that we can answer them when we are through with the presentation. So let's get on our way. Today we're going to be talking about independence, initiative, attendance, and professionalism. So as you are listening today, these are the tools that we hopefully will be able to have you understand just a little bit better as when we are done with the presentation. So independence is our first tool. So what I would like for you to do is, as I read this scenario, I would like for you to answer the question when we're done. It's the holiday season, and you're working at a toy store. You've been at work since 9 a.m. Your boss gave you tasks to complete by lunch and then gave you another task to complete after lunch. You've completed your morning tasks, and there's 30 minutes left before your usual lunch break. You notice that the store is looking quite messy, and your boss is at an important meeting, so you cannot ask her what she wants you to do next. How can you show your independence and initiative skills? Please answer the pod. What do you think the answers would be? Oh, very nice. We've got some great answers going on. It looks like the majority of the people are picking some good answers here. So one of the first skills that an employer will look at is independence. They didn't hire you to be next to you every hour of the day. They want to be able to assign you duties or tasks and know that you'll be able to complete them so that they can reach their daily or weekly goals. So a couple of these aspects that are involved within planning, within independence, are planning, which helps you approach your work in a methodical manner. You can set and achieve short and long-term goals with planning, and you can plan and schedule tasks so that your work is completed on time. It helps you keep track of the details so that you are performing your duties accurately and completely. And one of the things in our poll question was, how are you going to plan your time out? And planning to make sure that you're getting everything appropriately done is one of those key tools to independence. Now, prioritizing is the next step, and that helps you when you're trying to figure out which tasks and things need to be done first. And it helps you perform them quickly and efficiently and according to their urgency. So if something is more important than the next thing, you would want to do the most important thing first. It helps you find new ways of organizing your work area or planning work so that you can accomplish work more efficiently. You also want to be able to allocate your resources. And to do that, you would estimate what you need to complete your project. So if you're knitting a sweater for your husband who is a size double extra large, one skein of yarn is probably not going to fit the bill. So you need to make sure that you have enough of the tools or the resources or the materials to make sure that you will get the job done properly. And it helps you keep all the parties involved, informed of your progress and the relevant changes necessary to help you get your project done in a timely manner. The other thing that you want to do is you want to anticipate obstacles. So obstacles will develop if it's something that you just don't know what is going to happen next. That's why they call it an obstacle. You want to be able to take the necessary corrective action before a project gets completely off track. So the link at the bottom of the page, if Chelsea can move that into the chat pod for you, is a good way to help you look at independence in another fashion. The other things that you need to do when you're working independently is that you need to make sure that you're fulfilling your obligations, that you are behaving consistently and predictably. If you are not being reliable and responsible, you will not be able to be dependable in fulfilling your obligations. So you want to always be diligent when you're working on your commitments and make sure that you're consistently meeting your deadlines. Another key aspect of being independent is showing up on time. And showing up on time doesn't mean just for the day. It also means being punctual for your meetings if you are out on the road as a salesperson. It also means coming back from break on time. And you want to be able to pay attention to details. Details make a project more effective. You want to be able to notice any errors or inconsistencies that you may have missed, and you want to be able to take prompt and thorough action to correct any errors so that at 1:30 when your webinar is supposed to start, you're not in the wrong place or on another phone call. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to the details. And then you want to be able to comply with policy. You want to be able to follow any written and verbal directions. And you want to make sure that you're following any of your company's rules, policies, or procedures. So all of these elements become part of the bigger picture. If a salesperson is expected to call on a client, that salesperson, should show up when they're scheduled, just to be mindful of the client's time. Find out what items are needed to complete an order, and then make sure that the order is placed properly with the proper attention to details. Any sizes, any quantities, and maybe any item numbers are typed properly. And then follow up to ensure that delivery will be on time as promised. And all of these items need to comply with your policies and procedures at the company. So now let's take a look at our next polling question. Which ones of these jobs do you think require a high degree of independence? And you can answer more than one. Very good. It looks like people are picking. And you can see who's picked already. We have quite a few people on the call, but it doesn't look like everybody has answered yet, so we'll give it another 20 seconds or so. So some of the jobs that truly require a total independent thinking are actually all of these jobs, as well as some of these other ones that include amusement and recreation attendant, an architect, an automotive or watercraft boat service attendant, chefs and cooks, people that work at rental counters, crossing guards, dentists, people that work in a restaurant as a dishwasher, fishermen, logistics managers, parking lot attendants, pilots, police detectives, plumbers, stock clerks, taxi drivers and chauffeurs, tire repairers and changers, ushers, and ticket takers. So what this means is that when someone cannot independently fulfill their job duties, it ends up costing the company time, and time is money. So in summary, independence is being able to complete your duties without always having a supervisor planning your next move. Let's move on to our next step in today, which is initiative. Okay, our next polling question, as I read this question, I want you to come up with the right answer for me. You are working as a non-destructive tester in the manufacturing industry. In this job, you examine products to make sure they meet standards, and you often work alone. Today, you are using a computerized tester to examine a new music player, an MP3. You were expecting your boss to come in and set up the computer tester since you have very little experience with this type of tester. You get a call from your boss saying that he will not be able to be in the office today. How can you show your independence and your initiative skills? What would you do? Very good. We've got some answers coming in. And you can pick more than one answer. So if one or more of these apply, you can do that. It looks like we have an overwhelming majority of people that have gone to select to see if there's any instructions on the internet, which is it's a very good initiative thinking. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your answers. What we're going to talk about now is how well do you understand the needs of your company and your boss? So can you outline what is important to them? Initiative is about taking steps to make your company better, not about wasting time tackling unimportant matters. So to make this distinction, you want to try to determine the impact of a certain action and how that would reflect on your team's performance, the company's bottom line, or the company's long-term prosperity. Being persistent. You pursue your work with energy, drive, a strong sense of accomplishment. You want to be persistent and expend extra effort to accomplish tasks, even when conditions are difficult or deadlines are tight. You want to be persistent at a task or problem despite interruptions, obstacles, or setbacks. And when you take initiative, you go beyond the routine demands of the job. You seek out new work challenges. You increase the variety and scope of your job. You seek opportunities to influence events or originate action. And you assist others who have less experience or have heavier workloads. Find tasks to perform on your own. Make suggestions for improvement. Exhibit interest in making the organization more effective and productive. And you want to maintain work standards in the midst of change. So what all this boils down to is that you want to be helpful, you want to be efficient and effective, and you want to be proactive. You want to also set challenging goals for yourself. You want to establish and maintain personally challenging but realistic work goals. If you have a 300-page paper to write by tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., are you realistically going to be able to finish that? I don't know. You want to exert effort toward task mastery. You want to bring issues to closure by pushing forward until you have achieved a result. And you also want to be able to work independently. So independence and initiative go hand in hand. You want to be able to develop your own way of doing things. And are you able to be effective and perform effectively with minimal direction? Can you get there without support or approval? Can you make sure that you're doing your job without your boss standing looking over your shoulder? You also want to have a motivation that's based on achievement. You want to intrinsically be driven to succeed and excel. and you want to strive to make sure that you're meeting or exceeding expectations. You want to be able to exhibit confidence in your capabilities and an expectation to succeed in future activities. So if you are taking initiative, in most cases you are being proactive rather than being reactive, meaning that you react to a situation instead of trying to prevent or proactively reach out to adapt to a situation in advance of a challenge. It means that you take the bull by the horns instead of grabbing on to the tail and going for a wild ride. So just as in our example, if you are faced with a situation at your job, will you take the first steps to try to solve that problem? Do you make suggestions to your supervisor? Do you create process or procedures to make it easier for the next person? So in summary, initiative is being able to plan and organize your next steps in a process to ensure your job is complete. One of the next most crucial aspects is attendance. If you can tell from the image here, it's time equals money. So our next polling question here is after you hear this, let's hear what your answer would be. You're walking out the door to your car to go to work when you notice you have a flat tire. What do you do? You can check more than one answer. Let's see how it's going here. We've got a few responses. We have lots more people on the call than we have answers. You can pick more than one answer. It looks like we're getting to the end of the people that are making their choices. And remember, if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat pod and we will answer them when the presentation is done. All right, we're going to give you 5 more seconds to answer your poll questions. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Basically, what you want to do is you want to call your office and let them know about your situation. Again, time is money. So if you're not able to be there, you want to make sure that someone knows that that's going to happen. When you call the office and let them know that you've got the flat tire, it shows that you understand the importance of attendance. Even though you will not be on time, you took the time to call to let them know before it was your time to be there that you were going to be late. If you have a history of arriving to work on time and returning from breaks on time, they should really understand. The next thing you need to do is decide whether or not you will change the tire right now and get a ride to work from somebody else. You could ride the bus or ask a friend or neighbor or coworker for a ride to work. But please, make sure that your appearance is professional when you arrive to work. This means you should change clothes once you've changed your tire and then change back into your work clothes if that's what you choose to do. Remember, if you aren't at work, your work is not getting done. Your company is not generating the revenue that it could for the day. When you're timely in your attendance, you understand that work expectations are for you to arrive at work on time and return from breaks on time. Call your supervisor prior to being late and come back and forth from your breaks on time. You're normally not absent without a cause if your attendance is good. And you need to understand that the relationship between being punctual and how people perceive you is real. One of the links that's available is some public transportation information so that if you live in an area where there is a lot of public transportation, the Department of Transportation.state.il.us has a list of items where you can find public transportation. And I don't know about everybody else, but a lot of times on your smartphones, Google Calendar has a very big presence, and I use Google Calendar regularly. If it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. So check out Google Calendar, and especially if you have an Android phone, you can use Google Calendar very easily. But here's a few tips for you to help be better at being on time. If you have a problem waking up in the morning, what you want to try to do is go to bed on time the night before. If it's going to be a challenge, lay out your clothes. Write down what you'll eat for breakfast. Make certain you have your car keys. These things can happen to improve your attendance by planning the night before. Make sure that you're getting a good night's rest. Make sure that the room temperature is comfortable. Try not to eat after 7 p.m. Try to get 8 hours of sleep. Set your alarm for 30 minutes before you need to be up. So if you need to be up and out at 6 a.m., then set your alarm for 5:30. That will help you get out of the house at the right time. If you have a challenge waking up to music on your radio, set the beep, beep, beep. Wake up in the morning, take a shower, get dressed. Watch the clock. Make sure that you're listening to traffic reports. If there's snow, make sure that you plan on leaving earlier because of the snow. If you're using public transportation, know that you have several options to get to your place of work. Make sure that you leave your house in plenty of time to get to work and park your car and travel safely on a planned route. But also know alternate routes in case there's an accident or there's something that is blocking your way from getting there. Many employers appreciate the fact that you can arrive at work 15 minutes before your scheduled time. Don't just show up, punch in, and then put your purse and lunch away. Make sure that when you punch in, you're ready to go to work. Employers really appreciate that. There's also a tool on time management that is sponsored by the Goodwill Foundation on our learnfree.org link that we share. And you can also read more about improving your attendance at eHow, and Chelsea will put both of those links in the chat pod for you. In summary, attendance is about dependability to help keep an organization running smoothly. Professionalism. This is the last portion of our webinar today, but what we want to talk about is how you can be more professional. So our last poll question is based on this scenario. You are working as a programmer in the information technology industry. It has been a very busy time around the office and work is piling up. What are some self-presentation skills that you could use in this situation? And you can replace the word self-presentation with professionalism. So what are some professional skills that you could use in this situation? You can pick more than one answer. And if you check an answer that you don't like, you can uncheck it too. Looks like we've got a big chunk of our answers in. We're going to give you another 5 seconds. And we're counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for your answers. So when you're working in the IT industry, as well as many other industries, it can be very stressful at times, and you may feel overloaded with work. One of the first professional skills that you need to use is self-control, even if you're stressed out. Maintain your composure and keep a positive attitude. Take a step back. think about the priorities and the order in which you need to complete your tasks. Sometimes it's as simple as one foot in front of the other. Make sure that you finish one thing before you move on to the next thing. Emails are a big challenge these days because you get the little alert in the corner of your computer. Oh, but that just sometimes can add to the stress. One way to maintain a positive attitude is to think about each task as a goal. Every time you mark one of those tasks off of your list, you're moving forward. Taking pride in your work will also help you keep a positive attitude. So a couple of things here is to talk about that professionalism and your self-presentation is a combination of your appearance and your demeanor, how professional you are. The way you present yourself is important in the business world. Clothing pressed. Glance in the mirror and make sure that you are all together. No ripped seams, no bad hems. Do you have pets? Keep the pet hair off of your clothes. Keep a roller brush in your car if you need one. Your appearance is very much a part of your professional image, and you want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately for your occupation and the requirements of that occupation. Categories are business casual or business, which requires a coat and tie like the gentleman in the picture, and business formal, which is a suit. Understand that appropriate appearance impacts the cultural fit at the workplace. You want to maintain appropriate personal hygiene as well. When you demonstrate self-control, you do that by maintaining your composure and keeping your emotions in check, even in very difficult situations. You want to deal calmly and effectively with stressful situations. Now, substance abuse is on here because it means that you would be free from substance abuse. Sometimes stress can cause us to turn to drugs or alcohol, and any addictive activities could interfere with your productivity at work and could ultimately end in termination from your job. Should you find yourself using or abusing substances, contact a trusted friend to get help. And you want to maintain a positive attitude. You project a professional image of yourself and the organization when you remain professional. When you demonstrate a positive attitude toward work, it shows that you're taking pride in your work and the work of the organization. So remember, listening is just as important as eye contact. You want your coworkers to take you seriously and respect you. If you don't look the part, that may not happen. So in summary, professionalism is how you present yourself, the way you speak, your appearance, your subject knowledge, and how you handle interactions with others. So the things that we want to remember from today's webinar is that independence is being able to complete your duties without always having a supervisor planning your next move. Initiative is being able to plan and organize your next steps in a process to ensure your job is complete. And attendance is about dependability to keep an organization running smoothly. Professionalism is how you present yourself, the way you speak, your appearance, the subject knowledge that you exhibit, and how you handle interactions with others. Will you be able to showcase how you meet these criteria with an employer through your actions or examples? As we're going through this series, we have 5 more presentations that we will be doing, and they are, the next one are on leadership and teamwork, career development and work ethic, positive attitude and understanding the big picture, reasoning, problem solving and decision making, and communications. You can watch for these posts on Illinois WorkNet and on our Illinois WorkNet channel on YouTube. You can also join us in our social media. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page, company page. We have a LinkedIn group page, and you can follow us on Twitter. So thank you very much for joining us today. Please fill out the survey questions about our webinar today, and we'll take a look at any questions that you might have. We do have a question from one of our audience, and Harrison says that this was great general knowledge. There was very little shared about office politics and adjusting work style to fit management style. Some managers micromanage and don't like independence. And what Harrison says is very true. And we will be talking about that in some of the other sessions. But one of the things that you need to do is realize that you are working for the company and asking for initial direction, saying, what would you like me to do? Offering, how can I help? How can I help you accomplish other things? Just being able to be assistant or be an assistant to the manager or to the business owner or to the managers can be very refreshing in some fashions. And yes, you cannot get away from managers that micromanage. But in that situation, do your best to offer instead of just doing. That is often very much more helpful than just not doing it or ignoring the situation at all. If you would like to register for any of the other sessions, Chelsea just added the news item in the chat pod, and we will leave the chat pod open for a little while so that you can get the links that were added in there. And if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat pod. And please make sure that you have answered your questions for the review for us. Oh, one of our guests said that they're very familiar with the Goodwill Company Learning Foundation. They have a lot of information on there, so it's very useful for all of our workNet friends. So if we have no other questions, I'd like to thank everybody for participating in today's webinar. We will be back Thursday morning with our Leadership and Teamwork webinar. It is at 10:30 a.m. and you can register at illinoisworknet.com and go to the news item and look for our registration form. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank Lacey Pollock, Natasha